Hello and welcome back to my chess course, and today we're gonna analyze the game between two grandmasters, Andersson and Stin, which was played in Sao Paulo in 1979. c4. It's English opening. It gives a lot of options for each side. Black played knight f6. Other moves are e5, c5, g6. Black can also play c6 or e6. Knight f3, c5, g3. In English opening, white usually develops his bishop to g2, keeping pressure on the main diagonal. d5. Black opens the center and opens the way for his pieces. Other possible moves in this position are g6, e6, and knight c6. C takes on d5, knight takes on d5. White trades enemy central pawn for his queen-bishop pawn, but black controls the center. However, white keeps the pressure on it. Bishop g2, knight c6. Now black plans to play e5, and this is how he finally occupies the center. White wants to prevent it. d4. C takes on d4. Knight takes on d4. Knight d to b4. Another option was to play e6. Now the knight on d4 is hanging. Knight takes knight. Queen takes queen. King takes queen. White forfeits the castling privilege, but it's not so important in the endgame. King takes on c6. It's a popular line of English opening. Despite the fact that queens were traded, it's a complex position. Both sides have to develop their pieces faster, but white also needs to take care about the king. Bishop takes on c6. White trades his strong bishop for the knight, but ruins black pawn structure. The next task is to trade one of the black bishops and fix pawn weaknesses. Black's task is not so concrete. The idea is to keep pressure on white's position. Knight c3, e5. It was preferable to play g6. Bishop e3. It's a perfect square for the bishop. It attacks on a7 and fixes the weakness on c6. White is going to activate the rook on c-file. h5. Black is threatening to play h4 and activate his rook. That's why white plays h4 himself. Bishop b4. It's hard to imagine how to handle this bishop, if not to trade it for the knight. King d2, allowing the rook to move and finishing the development. King e7. In the endgame, the king should be in the center. That's why castling is a strategic mistake. Rook h to c1. Now white king can hide on e1. Rook d8 check. It's not obligatory to make this check, no matter there is no entry squares on d-file. Maybe it would be better for black to double on b-file. Anyway, rook d8 check, king goes to e1. Bishop e6. A best square for this bishop. a3, bishop takes on c3. Now the game moves into a favorable endgame for white. But if black plays bishop a5, white can play bishop c5 check, king e8, and b4. Bishop b6, knight a4, keeping pressure on c6. That's why black decided to trade his bishop. Rook takes on c3. Bishop d5. The first stage of the plan is done. The bishop is traded. Despite the material equality and bishops of opposite color, white has a solid advantage. His pawn structure is better. He has less pawn islands. Black has weak pawns on a7 and c6. White bishop is more active than black one, because black bishop can protect only c6 pawn. Now, white has only to fix weaknesses and not to allow black to play a7, a5. That's why he plays b4. If a5 now, then bishop b6, and we win this pawn. For example, if pawn takes on b4, bishop takes on d8, check, king has to take, and then rook d3. White has an extra exchange in this position. Rook d to b8, bishop d2. Again, if a5 here, then we take the pawn, rook takes, and rook goes to e3. The rook is hanging and the pawn on e5 is also hanging. h5 is also a weakness. King e6, rook c5. White forces black rook to move to b5, and this is how he can win a tempo, by playing a3, a4 in future. Rook b5, rook goes back to c1, f6, restricting white bishop and creating a pawn chain, and at the same time it gives black king an option to hide on f7. a4, attacking the rook. Rook goes to b7. Rook goes back to c5. The next stage of the plan is to attack a7 pawn. For example, to transfer the rook to a5 or a6. Then king goes to c3 and bishop goes to c5. But black can get some initiative on the king side. That's why first white needs to close up the king side. Rook g8, f3, f5. Black protects from e4, but leaves himself without any counterplay. It was better to play king d6. And after e4, bishop moves to e6. King f2, rook d8, bishop c3. Black plays e4, because white was threatening to play e4 himself. For example, e4, black takes on e4, white takes with his pawn, bishop takes on e4, then rook takes on e5, check, winning a piece. So that's why black played e4. Rook d1, rook d to d7, king to e3, g6, f4. White doesn't need to play on the king side. Now he is going to attack a7 pawn. Rook d6, rook b1, rook d to d7, bishop d4, king f7, rook b2. It's better not to hurry. King e6, king d2, king f7, king to c3, king e6, rook a5, king f7, rook a6. Now the second rook goes to a5. Rook e7, bishop c5, rook d7, rook d2, rook b to c7, bishop e3, rook b7, bishop c5, rook c7, and rook c2, masking his idea. Rook b7, king b2, rook d to c7, king a3, rook d7, e3, preventing any counterplay attempts and making a strong point on d4 for the bishop. Rook d to c7, bishop d4, rook d7, rook goes to c5, rook b to c7, king b2. White will the pawn anyway, but he wants to centralize his king. Rook b7, king c3, rook b6, rook c to a5, rook takes rook, bishop a2, rook takes on c6, and black resigned. Anyway, white will take on a7, and this is how he can get a passed pawn. So the position is absolutely winning for white. Thank you for your attention.